Bim, welcome back. All being well. Yeah, right, we're off again. Okay, so this is part 2, because I went on for 8 minutes before we ran out of anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to carry on from where we left off, which is basically, I was talking about the train strikes, and basically what they've done is they're doing it every other day, and the days in between where they've done it and the days after they've done the third one, so for 6 days instead of 3 days, it's going to mess up the entire system because all the trains will be in the wrong place. You see, it makes sense when you think about it. Just don't think about it too much. What else is going on this week? Oh, there was some sports that people get excited about. I'm not one of them. But if you're interested in these things, Wales beat Ukraine. They didn't read the script. And they will be in the World Cup for the first time in a million years or something. I don't know. I care less than I know. And Gareth Bale's very happy, apparently. Because it's probably going to be his last one, because I think he's been playing football since I was about 3. So yeah, not great news for Ukraine, but good news for the Welshies, I suppose, because well, they're just very happy people. England cricket team were happy as well, because bizarrely they won a test match with their new captain. It's the first test match in a while that they won, and it was against New Zealand. Didn't know New Zealand played cricket, but there you go. More good news. We were talking about the Queen before having tea with Paddington. Well, it's not just the Queen who's had tea with a incredible person. Prince Charles met Sir David Attenborough and gave him another knighthood. Who knew you could have 2 knighthoods? But now he's a Knight's Grand A Cross, apparently. And there's other stuff after it as well. It sounds very good. I mean, I don't know, because I don't understand knighthoods and anything like that. It's not something that's ever going to worry me in my life. But, yeah, well, you know, fair play and all that kind of thing to old David Attenborough. We've also got a dinosaur. I mean, it's just coincidence I said David Attenborough, Prince Charles, and then start talking about dinosaurs. That's been discovered, or rather the skeleton of it has been discovered, or the fossils, if you want to be pedantic, have been discovered in the Isle of Wight, because that's where dinosaurs lived back in the day, it says here. It's a massive Spirosaurus. I think it's bigger than a Tyrannosaurus Rex, because Tyrannosaurus Rexes really are not actually that big. I mean, they're big. They're bigger than anything we've got now, but this is bigger than that. But to be fair, a Brontosaurus is bigger than that. So we're having a big out dinosaur thing. It's a good one to have on top trumps, because people wouldn't expect it. That's probably the best way of putting it. Yeah, I'm back. Prince William, he's on our times. He's been selling the big issue in London, but when you've got 2 and 3 palaces to look after and a grandma and an aging parent, then you've got to get the money where you can. I mean, it takes a lot of money to keep the old people warm. We know that. So anyway, he's been on the streets of London selling the big issue, and fair play to him, not being too proud to go out there and earn a living to support his family. You've got to be good with that. Now, this is a weird one. You admire him and Kate? Yeah, I kind of do as well. I mean, considering what he's gone through in his life, I know he's privileged and all that, but yeah, it's he's okay. But he's very similar to the Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret, in the fact that he's the future king and he's dead sensible, but the sibling is a complete nutter. And then you've got Prince William, and then you've got Prince Harry. Now you have to guess which is Elizabeth and which is Margaret in this generation. Evening, Elder. Welcome back. Oh, you didn't go away, did you? No, it's all right. Ignore me. So, medical people have come up with this brilliant idea to stop people smoking. What they're going to do is, what they want to do is increase the age of where you can buy cigarettes every year by a year. So basically, if you're like 15 now, you won't be able to buy cigarettes legally until you're probably in your 30s. That's assuming they don't just carry on until everyone's dead and then no one can buy cigarettes anywhere. Which means the shelves will be just full of rotten cigarettes. So that can't be good either, can it? But either way, this is the plan they've come up with. And what they come up with in order to tell people or make it easy for people to give up vaping. So, you're breathing in smoke from predominantly, not completely, a natural source through a filter, and it's giving people cancer and killing people, hence that's why they want to stop it. But we're replacing that by vaporizing chemicals bought for £1 off a market, made God knows where, which get vaporized and then you inhale them into your lungs because that's more healthy. What? In the 50s and the 60s, particularly in America, doctors were on the TV advertising the benefits of smoking. I reckon in 30 years' time, they'll be banning vaping. I'm really, really, really allergic to vaping. So I'm not a big fan of the old vapes. And I think chemicals that are vaporized rather than breathing in smoke from something that's predominantly natural is not necessarily a better thing. And you buy them off the market because they're cheap and there's little bottles and you don't know who makes them, you don't know where they come from, there's no legislation on them or anything like that. I think it's terrible. But then again, you walk round town after schools are finished and you see all the kids, well not all the kids, but a lot of the kids vaping, a lot of the kids smoking. They're too young to buy cigarettes, they've got the school uniform, they're still smoking, they're still vaping. So I don't think moving the age is going to make any difference. All you need to do is either completely ban smoking in public anywhere, and completely ban vaping everywhere, and then if anyone is caught smoking in a public place, they get shot. Saves on the NHS, and people will learn very quickly. I know it's a bit harsh, but sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind. Having said that, this is a really bad one. I'm seeing if I can figure a way out of this, but no, the other ones are bad as well. In Ukraine, yeah, this is like I've timed this to work like this, but I haven't. This is complete coincidence. 2 English soldiers who were Marines for the Ukraine army have been caught or surrendered after giving themselves up in the Donbass region. They were in the ironworks, if you remember, that went on for ages, and eventually they ran out of food and weapons and all that kind of stuff, so they gave themselves up. There's a Moroccan there as well, and they've all been sentenced to death. Now, there's a number of problems with this. One is they've been classed as mercenaries, but they've lived there for well over 2 years each. They've both got girlfriends, fiancés who are Ukrainian. They live in Ukraine, and they both are regular Marine soldiers for the Ukraine army. They are not mercenaries. Secondly, if someone gives themselves up at in a conflict of any kind, they are prisoners of war. If you capture them and they don't want to give up, they are still prisoners of war. There are rules of what you can and cannot do with prisoners of war. What that you can't do with them is kill them. You cannot sentence them to death. Particularly if A, the court you're doing it in isn't recognised by anyone in the world, B, the charges you've trumped up are wrong and are easily proven to be wrong, and 3, it's against the Geneva Convention. But remember, this is Russia, and Russia just do what the hell they want, and 90% of the countries around the world are saying, no, enough is enough, you've got to stop this. Apart from, of course, China. Russia and China have opened a cross-border road bridge as ties between the two countries deepen. Now let me run you past that again. Russia is currently in the middle of a war against Ukraine, which is illegal and has caused lots of sanctions everywhere in the world against Russia. China have not said that what Russia is doing is wrong. China did exercises with the air forces a week or two ago. I reported that on here. And now they've opened a bridge between the two countries. And you're thinking, oh, that bridge is going to be massive. It's going to be huge. It's going to be like, as long as England. No. In the scheme of things, it's tiny. But that is the bridge that's linking China and Russia. And why are we not putting sanctions on China? For a start, I mean, obviously you've got the fact they're not denouncing Russia for the war, but they are also the Uyghurs are now being chucked into open-air prison camps. Their crime is being born into the Uyghur people. That's their only crime, and they're being persecuted. Got to bet that weapons are being given to Russia from China quietly. I know we're giving weapons to Ukraine as well, but that's different because I don't know why it's different, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, we shouldn't be supporting China, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when the oh, I lost my train of thought then. It would have been brilliant anyway, because all my trains of thoughts are brilliant, he says. Anyway, yeah, I'll come back to that. I'll remember what it is. There's been another tragedy, this time in Germany, where a car in Berlin has driven into people on the streets, and sadly a lady, I think it was a lady, has passed away. I've not heard whether it was an accident, a health scare for the driver, or a deliberate act, but either way, it's just horrific to think that people have gone out shopping and they've ended up in hospital or worse. And at last, the governments are coming round to the terms that monkeypox might be a bit more dangerous than what they were saying it was. Yeah, it's not going to kill anyone, or very unlikely to do anyway. Basically, it just looks like my face in the morning, I'll be honest with you. But yeah, monkeypox is becoming more of a major worry for various governments around the world, as it's been around for decades, mainly in African states, but it's certainly becoming more common worldwide in countries that don't normally have monkeypox. But it's quite difficult to catch. You've got to be in very close contact with the people who've got it, or wear the clothes or touch the clothes that they've worn while they've had it, or get incredibly intimate with the people who've got it. So I can't imagine it's going to be a huge thing, but it is something now that doctors have to report if people have it. And then we go to the news section of this broadcast. You ready for this? What a week that was in America. Because the USA is an interesting country at the moment. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we need to know what is going on, because it's not always reported over here. What's going on over there? I mean, some of it's scary. For example, they've got the same issue as us. $10 a gallon at California station, and $5 a gallon in New York City. So they've got the same issue as we've got with fuel prices. But as I've always said, it's a worldwide problem. It is not a UK problem, and it's not something we can sort out straight away, which is why we need to work on hydrogen, because electricity and all that. I think the rises in COVID are nominal, I'll be honest with you. I've still not started wearing a mask again. If you watch my weekly vlogs, you'll know that I've been wearing masks a lot, but I've stopped. If I start wearing the mask again, then maybe you need to panic. But yeah, the cost of living is going up all over the world. But then there's some other stuff in America that just makes you go, what? For example, a Texas man who raps about robbing ATMs has been arrested for robbing ATMs. It's like, what? It's no words could mention that. Connecticut police dig up the wrong body in hopes of cracking a cold case. So they actually went to a cemetery. They got all the documents and everything to dig up this body for, I assume, DNA or something. And they went to the trouble of digging it all up, cordering it all off, getting it all out, taking it to wherever they do the tests, and it's completely the wrong body. I think it's even the wrong sex, I'm not sure. To be fair, when they're in a box, you can't really tell. It's like a kind of surprise when you open it, I suppose. But yeah, it's completely the wrong body they've dug up. So now they've got to go through it all again. You're like, what is going on in America? Other stuff going on in America is 2 workers have fallen into a chocolate tank at a Mars faculty facility in Pennsylvania. So basically 2 workers, they're not Oompa Loompas, don't worry, have fallen into a vat of chocolate in America. Now, whether that's a secret ingredient or not for the flavour, I have no idea. But no matter how you look at it, it's very Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, very Willy Wonka, isn't it? It's a shame it's not Wonka chocolate that they've fallen into, because that would actually make more sense. Was it Augustus Gloop who fell into the chocolate? Either way, it's quite amusing. And then not amusing, brothers 14 and 11 are busted for stealing 22 guns from a Florida shop. 22 guns from a Florida shop. Shush, no. Oh, unless you want to go out. Do you want to go out and you let yourself in? Excuse me, cat's having a whinge. What's up with you? You're not even in here. Where are you? She's not even in here. No. Anyway. So yeah, they're on about possibly doing these gun laws and everything, and there's 14 and 11-year-old brothers nicking guns. Now, I've done a thing in the paper this week about the shooting, tragic shooting in America of the primary school, well, what we would call primary school children and teachers. It's so bad in America, they've actually got a list of all the shootings in America that are mass shootings. And on average, there's 2 to 3 a day that go on this list. Gun Violence Archive, it's called. Mass shootings in 2022. There's been over 500. Not all fatal, but majority of them are. From 2 or 3 people to obviously the tragedies that we saw at the primary school. But the Americans still think there's nothing wrong with the gun laws that they've got. And I just can't get my head round where they're coming from for that. And the irony is, Biden is one of the big people saying we need to make changes, but he's gone to 22% popularity in the whole of America, and only 24% in young, in Hispanics. And you're like, he can't climb stairs. He needs to have a Stena lift put on his aeroplane walkie-uppy things. Or maybe just have the aeroplane where they put the thing straight on and you could just walk out the building straight in. make it glass so we can see him, and, you know, snipers can have a go. But it just seems bonkers that someone who's standing up for the gun lobby is so unpopular. And again, like they're doing with Boris, they're blaming him for the gas prices going up and everything else. But it's a worldwide problem. Oh no, there's no gun problem. If they've got a chart, I don't know whether they do the greatest hits at the end of the year of the mass shootings. Wouldn't surprise me. This is a surprise. Not. Texas Teacher Union finds more school employees don't want to be armed. No poo Sherlock. I mean, it's common sense, isn't it? That if you have guns in a school, more people are going to get shot. Can you imagine if someone gets wound up, one of the teachers gets wound up over and over and over again, just gets his gun out and shoots the pupil? That would happen in America. I mean, my German teacher, I think I mentioned this before, but my German teacher when I was at school, I was rubbish at German, so I was the operator of the projector. So before videos and computer desks and all that kind of thing, we had a projector which, a bit like a slide projector, but instead of a slide, it was a roll of pictures that were quite big, and you had to manually turn them so that the next picture came up, and then there was a reel-to-reel tape playing, and every now and then it'd go beep, and that's when I'd turn the next one up. And I picked up a bit of German, but I wasn't, it just gave me, below average score in exams and all that kind of stuff, and I never took it any further. I never did any exams or anything for it. But he was only a little guy, and he'd get very angry with one of the guys. It was a big guy. The kid who sat diagonally across from where I was sat, because I was in the middle of the room for the projector. He sat over my shoulder, and Sir was over there, and I could see Sir getting more and more wound up because he was just, coming out with these comments. Nothing too bad, just winding you up like you do. And I see him twitching a little bit, and I'd be like, all right, okay, then I've got to keep an eye on, listen for the beep, and make sure I get the frame, level and everything, so it's not off and off and all that kind of stuff. But keep it off an eye on him. And we had roller boards back then, where it was basically a blackboard, but it was green, and you pull it round, and it kind of spins round on itself. So you could have 2 or 3 different sides showing. So if there was a test, for example, the teacher could write the test up, and then when the test starts, just pull the board round, and it was all there written out already. But they also had chalk dusters, which were similar in size to that. This is an Amiga RF unit thing, but about the same size as a chalk duster. And Sir would get this chalk duster, and it would come whizzing towards my head. So I'd duck, it'd go over my head, and generally hit the lad who was annoying him, who'd go, "Sir, what have you done that for?" And it happened near enough every bloody German lesson we had. And he'd come out sometimes, this lad, with these chalk dust marks on him where he'd been hit, because the teacher always made him take the chalk duster back to him. They were good old days when you could have corporal punishment at school. It was great. But I had long hair at the time, so sometimes I ducked and I'd feel it going through me hair. It was an experience. But yeah, you can imagine if they've got a gun. Wow. No. So thankfully, most teachers are sensible in America. I say most, because let's be honest, not everyone is sensible anywhere. Biden has decided now that you don't need to have a COVID test to enter the United States of America, which again is ironic considering cases are going up. But what we were discussing earlier, Angela, was the fact that cases are going up, but it's possibly because the COVID tests that you do pick up the older versions more, or variants of the older versions, and not necessarily the newer version. So I think it's probably why it's going up, because we've changed variant again, and we're kind of going back to the older one, which was I think it was the Indian one, wasn't it? Oh, it wasn't called that, but yeah. So that's probably why things are going up. But anyway, America have decided now that you don't need to have a negative COVID test to go into the country, which have pleased a lot of people. Won't please me, because it doesn't affect me in any way, shape or form. Talking of madmen, not saying Biden's mad, but Donald Trump, this was him last year on the 6th of January, inciting a riot, and now he's been accused of inciting a coup, or an attempted coup, by his followers. Various tweets have been read out. Loads of images have been shown of the storming of the Capitol building. I've got a picture of it somewhere. Where are we? Where has it gone? There it is. Obviously, a couple of people lost their lives during that as well. And it was all, the former President of the United States, who incidentally I mentioned last week, saying that gun crime isn't a problem in America. So obviously a man to be trusted, is now being accused of trying to organise basically a coup against the freedom of America, which is basically what Putin wants to do. You think about it. Don't think about it too much though, because it'll hurt your head. And that is basically it. So, time for a recap. Can I have a recap? Yeah, go on then. I'll give you a recap. Got to put this up again, haven't I? Neighbours is ending. They filmed the last episode. It'll be going out in July sometime in the UK. A lot of the old stars have come back, but I kind of hope that Bouncer, which is the Labrador there, comes back as a zombie apocalypse dog and rips everyone to shreds for the storyline they give him, where he had a dream and got married to a border collie. I mean, how the hell Neighbours has survived so long, I have no idea. It looks, to be fair, that episode would look more like the Magic Roundabout, and I'm pretty sure dogs can't see in colour, so why Bouncer would dream massive, colourful flowers and a painted backdrop, I have no idea. In fact, he hasn't either, which is why, obviously, the dog that's passed away since that was filmed is going to dig himself out, come back and rip everyone to shreds for the last episode. And that would end it on a note that I think we could all appreciate. Talking of ending on a note that we can all appreciate, thank God the Jubilee celebrations are over. I mean, literally, a waste of everyone's time and money, in my opinion. Although, seeing the Queen with Paddington Bear is quite good, and the memes that have come out, because obviously Paddington Bear was an illegal immigrant, so lots of Priti Patel memes, and there's a nice picture of the Queen and Paddington holding hands walking off into the distance. It was surreal, almost as surreal as the fact that Boris survived his vote of no confidence. The way I look at it is, the majority of people kicking up a fuss are the people he sacked for being rubbish. Not that he's got anyone who's any good anyway, and they've all got to be in the bonnet about it and they think, well, I could be a leader. For example, Jeremy Hunt, one of the most aptly named MPs ever, is one of the big people going on about how we should resign and do better and get a new leader and all, I guess. It's just one of them things that are not needed at the moment. We don't need people who've been wronged by the government because they are crap at their job trying to bring the government down when we've got more important things to worry about. Who else would run the country if Boris wasn't? I mean, he's an idiot, yeah. He's a liar, yeah. But we know all that. We know everything about him. That's what we expect. Why do we think anyone else who isn't as bumbling fool doesn't do the same stuff he does, but hides it better? At least we know the guy's an idiot. So for the time being, I'm happy he's staying in. Because Keir Starmer, oh my God. I mean, he's a wet lettuce, isn't he? Sport-wise, the Welshes beat the Ukrainians in the World Cup qualifier, and England beat New Zealand in a test match. HS2 is not coming to Wigan or the Wigan area, much to the annoyance probably of the Chinese investors who were demolishing Wigan to build loads of flats and apartments that they thought would be worth loads when HS2 arrived. But they'll be worth nothing because HS2 isn't coming, so I bet that's going to knock that into touch. In the meantime, if you want to go on a train, I wouldn't bother at the end of this month because there's a 3-day strike and a gap in between of 1 day in between each strike, which is basically the same thing as a strike because all the trains will be in their own place. So basically for a week, avoid the trains and at times the London Underground, which I'm sure double Sir David Attenborough does do. Can't imagine he goes on the Underground at all. Digital Dragon, I have seen what you've said, but there's too much swearing in there, so I can't put it up. So David Attenborough now is a Knight's Grand A Cross, or something like that anyway. Congratulations to him. Charles' son, though, he's hit on hard times, so he's been selling the big issue in London, which is nice. But I mean, he's got elderly parents and elderly grandparents to keep warm, so obviously electricity prices and all that. He needs more money. One way of saving money is not to buy cigarettes. So the government have come up with an idea now, not the government, advisors to the government have come up with an idea now, where every year they put the price of, the minimum age of buying cigarettes up by a year, every year, forever, or at least 5 years anyway, to try and stop people starting smoking. But most people start smoking younger than 16 anyway, so that's a complete waste of time. And asking people to vape instead, I don't think is necessarily the right thing to do. There's been some bad news this week as well, including the tragedy in Berlin where at least one person passed away after a car crashed into the crowds at Berlin shopping centre, the equivalent basically of Oxford Street in London. And also death sentence carried out on these three gentlemen, death sentence imposed on these three gentlemen by firing squad by the Russians who caught them, saying they were mercenaries for the Ukraine army, and they're going to get executed within a month, or just over a month, because they got a month to put an appeal in. The two English people are British born but have lived in Ukraine for at least 2 or 3 years, long before you're alright, Digital Dragon. The other guy is a Moroccan as well, who's also been in Ukraine for a while. But if you get prisoners of war, whether they hand themselves in, i.e. surrender, or you capture them, you cannot sentence them to death. You can hold them in prison camps, you can take them into your country, but you've got to look after them, you've got to feed them, and you've got to keep them safe. And then when the war's over, we do all swapsies. You cannot do what Russia are doing, but I mean, since when did Russia follow rules? The one country that's backing Russia at the moment is still China. They've opened a cross-border bridge, which you would think is huge, but isn't. It's quite tiny. I think the Menai Bridge is bigger than that. And that's between Russia and China. Who knew they were that close together? It's a bit like Russia and America. They're not actually that much further apart. It's there. The one at the top, Alaska. They're about 19 miles apart or something. Not a lot anyway. A dinosaur has been found in the Isle of Wight, and it's a big one, and it's got a name and everything, which I did go on about earlier on, but I've forgotten now. And then monkeypox is becoming something of a worry, but unless you rub up against people or wear other people's clothes without washing them, you should be alright. Then we've got our news section, which I did promise, which is news in America. So we start off with, where shall we go? We'll go to that one. Most teachers in Texas don't want to be armed. Well, that's a good thing. However, brothers 40 and 11 have been busted for stealing 22 guns from a shop in Florida. Now, for a start, what are 14 and 11-year-old kids doing in a gun shop, even in America? And secondly, how the hell can they nick 22 guns? Getting one, like a pistol, shove it under your t-shirt or down your shorts or whatever, yeah. But not 22. On a lighter note, 2 workers fell into a chocolate tank in the Mars faculty facility in Pennsylvania, and I think they were alright, but they certainly added flavour to the mix, especially because one of them was allergic to chocolate, and he had an adverse effect to get on him. Biden's approval is sinking. It's almost as low now as what it was when it was Trump, which is worrying. I mean, we don't get to see everything that he does, but it is disturbing that that is the case. Nothing that's disturbing is there is a list in America that's updated every day with the mass shootings, and this is deemed as normal. I mean, only in America. It just makes no sense. Then you've got the Connecticut police digging up the wrong body in trying to solve an old case. Went to a lot of effort, got it back to where they were testing it. It was the wrong body. A Texas man who raps about robbing ATMs was arrested for robbing ATMs. You really couldn't write this, I tell you. And not dissimilar to us, gas is nearing $10 a gallon at California stations, and it's $5 a gallon in New York City. Now, why California and New York City have such a vast difference in price? It's probably to do with the states and the state taxes and stuff like that. I don't know, but it does seem massive. But we've got the same thing in Wigan. We've got the petrol station down the road from me, which is charging, last time I looked, £1.97.9 for a litre of unleaded, and £1.95 for diesel. So it's cheaper for diesel. In every other garage it's dearer, and some garages are 25p a litre cheaper than that petrol station. So yeah, it's scary as hell. What can we do, our lovely elder gamer? What can we do? I've been so upset since I realised it's so bloody wrong. There's not a lot we can do, unfortunately. People with the higher pay rates than us are running everything. Yeah, that is truyAgain, still no, apart from the fact that China is supporting Russia, I've still got no idea why we're supporting China. The Uyghurs in China now live apparently in an open air prison camp without any shelter or anything. So basically like Guatemala Bay, I suppose you could say, but it won't be in tropical climes because it's in China. And then we'll end on the tragic news that the last episode of Neighbours has been filmed. It's in the can, it's done, it's dusted, there's no more Toadface, or whatever he's called, no more Alf Roberts, and no more Kylie Minogue. All done. But like I say, I do hope that we get Bouncer back as a zombie dog, ripping them all to shreds for the terrible storyline he was given before he passed away. And that's it for another week of what a week that was. Oh, it's the space station. I was wondering what that red thing was there behind my arm. I thought it was part of my chair. That. It's not, it's a space station. Getting very confused then. So, yeah, apologies for the break halfway through. It seems to be a regular thing. Well, I love your videos. Watched about 25 over the last couple of days. I appreciate you bringing us to it. I enjoy this. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Digital Dragon. Any note off this week? No. But yeah, that's it. If you do like these, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and you can click them as well. I a lollipop cop. I nearly did a Jeremy Hunt on you then. I lollipop cop. Thanks a lot. So yeah, you all take care. Look after yourselves. Stay safe, and we'll be back again next week for another What a Week That Was. And what do you think of the new American section. I thought it had a bit of fun seeing what's going on in America, because we always seem to think we're getting all the crap. I could do it for Australia as well, to be fair, but then I'd have to be on for about 3 hours, and I ain't doing that. And bearing in mind, my PC at the moment is still telling me I've got no signal on the internet, so for it only to go down once, we're doing very well. It goes down usually more than that. Anyway, you take care, look after yourselves, and yeah, just comment if you well, you can. I'll wait a second or two if you want to say what you think about the American bit and the way it's done as well, because I basically all that stuff I've took off for the American bit, I've took off the New York Times Snapchat feed. Who knew? So do we keep USA or do we drop USA for next week? I like the American bit. Well, no, but that's the problem. I've stopped watching Northwest Tonight. I now watch London Tonight, or whatever it's called, because I'm just fed up of looking at gardens and lollipops and all that kind of thing. Whereas the London one is different. Keep it. Okay then. The United States will stay. Did we do all that? Yeah, Boris, monkeypox, Trump, China, USA News, and loads more. Yeah, we've done all that. So there you go then. Thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are. And all being well, I will see you again next week to see what a week that was. Until then, bye. I can't believe the thing is broke. Hopefully I'm not. Anyway.